Ivy and Bean. One big happy family. Help me! On Saturday, Bean was unfortunately being swallowed by quicksand. First her feet, slurp, and then her legs, slurp, and then her middle, slurp. Inch by inch, she was sucked to her doom. It was a tragic scene. Nancy came into the living room and unrolled her yoga mat. Bean struggled for survival. Nancy held her leg behind her back. Oh no, the quicksand was up to Bean's shoulders. It was just a matter of time. Nancy held her other leg behind her back. Bean was a goner. Nancy bent in half until her head touched her knees. But wait, where there was life, there was hope. Bean used the last of her strength to leap to freedom. Good golly, what a leap! The tips of her fingers scraped the edge of a nearby raft. She would be saved if only she could stretch just a little farther, like this. Yeep! Her fingers closed around the life-giving raft. She was saved. Get your grubby hands off my yoga mat, puffed Nancy, upside down. Water, water, croaked Bean. Now she was dying of thirst. It was just one thing after another out here in the jungle. Help, Ma. Ma was the same thing as me, only sadder. Go away, Nancy huffed. Bean groaned. Nancy fell over. Bean, that was a perfect downward dog and you ruined it. Mom, Bean's driving me bonkers. Stop doing whatever you're doing, Bean, called their mom from another room. Okay, yelled Bean. What a good kid she was. She was so good she decided to help Nancy. You know, that doesn't look anything like a dog, Bean said helpfully. I think you're doing it wrong. Here's a dog. She got on her hands and knees and panted, a yerp, a yerp, yerp, yerp. Nancy fell over again. Stop messing me up! Leave me alone! Bean stopped barking. I thought yoga was supposed to make you calm. Mom! Bellowed Nancy. She rushed out of the room. Sheesh. Bean rolled onto Nancy's yoga mat and lay there. At least someone around here was calm. Bean! There was Bean's mom. She seemed to be frowning. If you can't leave Nancy alone, you'll have to go outside until she's done. She glared some more. Can you leave Nancy alone? A trick question if Bean had ever heard one. It's my house too, she began. Out you go, said her mom, pointing to the backyard. What? Yelped Bean. I was helping Nancy, and I was here first. Outside, Bean, said her mother, still pointing. You guys are getting up on me. 2 against 1. It's not fair, huffed Bean. Who said life was fair? Asked Bean's mom. Blame it on Bean, huffed Bean. That's the motto of this family. She thumped down on the back steps. There I am, lying on the floor, minding my own business, and all of a sudden Nancy comes in, and bing, bang, bong, Bean's a criminal. Bean turned toward the house and yelled, but not very loud, just because she's older doesn't make her right. Then she slapped the step with her hand, ow, and wished for the millionth time that she wasn't a little sister. Bean, are you there? It was Ivy on the other side of the fence. Ivy, come on in, old buddy, old pal, yelled Bean. Just in the nick of time, a friend. Ivy came charging through the gate. I've got it, the cure. For what? Asked Bean. For being spoiled. What do you think? Ivy said. Oh, sorry, I forgot, said Bean. Geez, if you were spoiled, I wouldn't forget, said Ivy. I spent the whole morning working on it. At first, the only thing I could think of was giving you all my toys. Really? Interrupted Bean. Even the Jiggly Man? The Jiggly Man was Ivy's best toy. He was a little gummy blue guy that you threw at the wall. He stuck there for a second, and then he somersaulted, bloop, 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 down the wall, leaving greasy marks where he had been. Bean loved him. Sure, the Jiggly Man, Ivy said. Everything. Sounds good, said Bean. I'll I'll take 'em. But then I thought, no, I'd get in trouble if I did that. Just like I got in trouble for giving away my clothes. Oh, Bean was disappointed. What if you only gave me the Jiggly Man? No, because then I got a better idea. Ivy's eyes were shining. Remember how Vanessa said that being an only child makes you spoiled? Remember? Yeah, said Bean slowly. But I don't think she's right about that. Ivy ignored her. So the cure is simple. All I have to do to get unspoiled is stop being an only child. I have to get a sister. The road to Disasterville. Bean tried to warn her. Sisters were no good. They tattled on you if you did the tiniest thing a little bit wrong, and then you had to go sit outside. They bossed you. They got mad if you took one measly glass animal out of their rooms. They laughed at you. They completely freaked out about small problems, even if you were just about to clean them up. They told you your drawings were weird looking, your hair smelled, and there was a big scary secret that no one would ever tell you, not in a million years. And then they smiled at you in a grown-up-y way, just to remind you that they knew it and you didn't. All day long, sisters did that. And then, right before bed, they said, I was just kidding. Ivy said that was older sisters. Younger sisters weren't like that. Younger sisters were perfectly okay, especially very small ones. A baby sister, for instance, would be only half as annoying as Nancy, maybe even less. Just annoying enough to keep Ivy from getting spoiled. A baby sister was what she needed. Trust me, you don't, said Bean. I do, said Ivy. Bean shook her head. Next stop, Disasterville. But Ivy was already zipping toward the gate. She stopped and looked back at Bean. Come on, she said. Let's go tell my mom. Tell her what? Said Bean, getting up. Tell her to have a baby. Wow. Bean didn't know how that was going to work, but she was interested to find out. Once she was at Ivy's house, though, she decided it would be more polite to wait in Ivy's room during the telling part. It didn't take very long. 3 minutes, maybe. What did she say? Asked Bean. She said, "Ha!" Ivy answered, flopping down on her bed. And then she sang a song about the old gray mare just ain't what she used to be. And then she said, absolutely not, no with a capital N. Sounds like she means it, said Bean. You'd better just give me the Jiggly Man. No, said Ivy. I'm going to brainstorm. Ms. Arubitate was nuts about brainstorming. She was always doing it. When she brainstormed, Ms. Arubitate wrote down words and drew circles around them with her big purple pen. She called this an idea map. Bean didn't really get why brainstorming was different than regular thinking, so she just watched while Ivy brainstormed. First, Ivy slid to the floor. Then she put her hands over her eyes. After that, she rolled around and grunted. It wasn't very interesting, watching Ivy brainstorm. Bean wandered over to Ivy's doll tenement. Ivy's room was divided into 5 little sections. There was an art studio, a sleeping area, a living room, a magic lab, and a doll tenement, where all of Ivy's dolls lived. Ivy had scads of dolls. She had regular plastic dolls, china dolls dressed like old-fashioned girls, dolls in fancy costumes, wooden dolls, stuffed dolls, Barbies, and even a rock in a nightgown. Bean poked around looking for the Jiggly Man. Ivy stopped rolling around the floor and put her feet up on the wall. That way the blood would slosh to her brain and make it storm. Bean lifted the rock. No Jiggly Man. She peeked inside a doll bed. Ew, she said. This one's gross. She held up a doll by its foot. Ivy glanced up from the floor. That's Zellophine. She's supposed to look like a real baby. She did. Zellophine had blobby arms and legs. She had droopy fat cheeks and shiny drooly lips. In between her drooly lips, there was a little hole where you were supposed to stick a bottle. On her bald head was a pink knitted cap, and on her squishy bottom was a big diaper. She gave Bean the creeps. "Let's bury her alive." Ivy giggled. "Okay, when I'm done brainstorming." "Well, hurry up," said Bean. Ivy tried. "How can I get a sister?" she asked herself. How? She bugged her eyes out at the electrical outlet on her wall. Suddenly, her brain stormed. "Hey," she said. "Electricity!" "What about it?" said Bean. She waved Zellophine. "Come on, let's bury her." "No," said Ivy. "Let's put some electricity in her and make her come to life." Ivy had seen it in a movie. There was this guy who made a giant robot, and then he struck it with lightning and it sat up, Ivy explained. "That's what we're going to do with Zellophine." Bean looked at Zellophine's drooly lips and imagined her alive. Yuck. "Where are we going to get the lightning?" "The guy in the movie had to use lightning because it was a long time ago, and that was the only electricity he could get," Ivy said. "But now we have plugs." She pointed to the outlet. "We'll plug her in and charge her up." Bean had a feeling it wouldn't work. But if it did, Ivy was going to be in big trouble. "You're going to have to change her diapers, you know." "No way," said Ivy. "That's a mom thing." "You should ask your mom first, then." Ivy went downstairs to talk to her mom and came back a few minutes later holding a plug. "My mom says that if I make Zellophine come alive with electricity, she will be happy to change her diapers because she supports scientific progress. She even gave me her phone plug for the charging." One end of Ivy's mom's plug was a regular plug, but the other end was shaped like a tiny straw. It was easy to jam it into the hole where Zellophine's bottle was supposed to go. Bean had wanted to stick it right into the top of Zellophine's head, but Ivy thought it would be mean to make Zellophine come alive with a hole in the top of her head. "See, I'm getting less spoiled already," she said. In the movie, the robot came to life on a special table, so Ivy and Bean laid Zellophine out on the table in Ivy's magic lab. The table was covered with tinfoil, so that it looked like a real lab table. Also so that it wouldn't get ruined when glop spilled on it. Zellophine's eyes closed when they laid her down. With her closed eyes and her drooly lips and her droopy cheeks, she looked like a real sleeping baby. A real sleeping baby with a plug in her mouth. "We should put a blanket on her," said Bean. "Babies always have blankets." They covered her with a blanket. Okay, now they were ready. They decided to plug the other end of the cord into the electrical outlet together, so if Zellophine did come to life, they would both be famous. Together, they crouched by the outlet. Together, they held the plug. Together, they said 1, 2, 3, plug!